righty, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. I see that we've got quite a few people from out of state. I saw Texas, Kentucky, Vermont, everything Colombia down in South America. So thank you for joining us wherever you're dialing in from Zoom land here. Everybody with their videos on, give me a thumbs up if you can hear us loud and clear. Awesome. We have not yet unmuted your microphones. You will be able to ask questions live towards the end. But for now, we just want to make sure that you don't go viral for the cat climbing on your computers or anything crazy going on in the background. If you do have questions as we're going along, feel free to put those in the chat. That should be down at the bottom of your screen. You can also navigate there. You should see a little chat button, or if you hit Alt-H, that'll bring up the chat room. And we'll make sure that we get to all of your questions either during or right afterwards. If it is a question of a personal nature and you're not comfortable asking those questions here in this forum, I'll go ahead and type in my email address at the chat bar, so those who are joining may not have seen it. But if you have confidential questions that you're not comfortable asking publicly, go ahead and send those over to me, and I will make sure that we get an answer to you at some point. So before we get started, my name is Derek Harris. I'm the Director of Student Services and Special Projects for the School of Engineering. It's great to be with you guys. I want to make sure that I get to everything here. We have 2 more Zoom episodes after this. So on May 26th, it'll be the same time, same place. The link and Zoom ID will not change. We're going to be talking about cadet life. So we're going to be bringing on cadets. And so you will get to ask the questions that you're not going to see in any brochures, like what is it like living in the barracks? Where do you eat? How often can you eat? Where do you go to study? How difficult is it to get your uniform ready? You know, what is it really like? So all the questions that admissions reps aren't going to tell you, you guys will get to ask those questions right here. Parents, we welcome you for that as well. So you guys will get to do a press conference with our cadets. And the last but not least is June 23rd. So it is always the 4th Wednesday of every week at 7, or every month at 7 p.m. We're going to be talking about careers, because engineering, there is no shortage of jobs in engineering. So you guys have picked the right major. Your degree will lead to jobs. That's not true for all majors, but I can tell you at the Citadel, our students are being poached left and right before they even graduate. Most of our students have a job offer. So you could not be in a better program at a better school. You know, we are the top School of Engineering here in the Southeast region. And so with that, again, thank you so much for joining. It's my privilege to welcome Mr. Hank Fuller, who is our Director of Financial Aid, and he will be talking to you about all of the different mechanisms that we have at the Citadel to help reduce some of the financial barriers and costs that come with a college education. So Mr. Fuller, you have the floor, sir.
All right, am I closer to getting on?
There we go. You are coming in loud and clear, and your video is spotlighted for everyone. So you're good to go. Thank you. Thumbs up, everyone. Awesome.
I'm sorry for the delay. This process is interesting to say the least, but we have made it. I took the opportunity to come home because it was after work, and I see that there's other challenges that are involved here, but I'd like to welcome all of you as the Director of Financial Aid, and certainly want to give you a chance to ask some questions and talk about the financial aid process here. And as an overview, we sort of go through the process of saying, you know, file the FAFSA form and check the portal for most of the information that financial aid is going to be asking you to do. Now, I wish I knew how many South Carolina residents, but we talk about a lot of out-of-state residents here. Of course, the cost is so much more expensive out of state, and you don't have the ability to get that life or hope scholarship from South Carolina, and so you are certainly making an investment to come into the school from out of state. Students that are in the engineering program, as Derek mentioned, was At this point, with the return on your investment is going to pay off, but the initial cost your families are going to bear are tied back to, in most cases, financial need. And so the FAFSA form is the place where you get started. And as you look at that, you have options for student loans. I'm going to set this thing down. Hopefully it'll quit moving on us. Of course, that didn't work. There we go. For student loans and the aid programs that all students can get from the Pell Grant and federal loan programs that you as a student could get and use to offset your cost. And then as you go through the process of looking at that portal, you're going to find the second and third options list payment plans as one of the most useful and economical of those, because there's no interest on those programs. And so students will get information about the payment plan once the bill is set out, which we expect it to be sent around the first week of July. And it'll be posted to that Lassane Gateway, as well as information about here's where you start the process of going through a payment plan. And they allow you to do up to 4 payments for each semester. And so you would have the fall term that you would be looking at. A lot of students will be using ROTC or outside aid scholarships they've earned from their high school or area. And as you let us know about those additional types of resources, we will include those, so we'll offset the bill. And all we have to do is know that information in the financial aid or the treasurer's office. And the treasurer's office is the one that sets up these payment plans for you. And it's an online process, very easy to sign up with your ID and name. And then your first payment is due around the end of July, August, September, and October. So you have 4 payments for that semester, and you begin your spring payment in December. If you can use those options and get the cost reduced down, if you still don't have quite enough to cover it, then you would go back through a process with either the Parent Plus loan, where you would have to pay some interest as a parent, or the private loan programs. And both of those are linked into that portal and give you options to cover your cost. And so those are the things that we make available for all families. And of course, all families are interested in reducing their cost by looking for scholarships, grants, free money programs. And as you look inside of the Citadel's website, citadel.edu, you'll go through there and see all of our scholarship programs. Freshmen are not generally awarded a lot of engineering scholarships. Sophomores, juniors, and seniors are qualifying for more of those scholarships as you compete with your freshman class. And you receive, generally speaking, more scholarships each year that you stay. So the ROTC scholarships obviously are sought after, and they would cover your tuition cost. And for an out-of-state student, that would be around $38,000. So it covers a cost with a service after school. And so a different way of using those programs. We certainly think if you look through that process, you're going to be competing with a group of students that are highly qualified, and they're all looking for that scholarship dollar, and so it's very competitive as you go through this process. Ask you to use the chat to enter some questions as you have different things that I can highlight and talk to you about. Hopefully that'll be a way to get started. And Derek, if you don't mind, I'm going to look at some of these chats as they come through and try answering those as we can. And so one of the...
And I will also give everybody the ability to unmute themselves, but with great privilege comes great responsibility here, guys. Don't go viral now for your cat or baby or dog in the background.
Yeah, I think we've had enough drama for this thing. But so one of the questions that came up was, how do we let the financial aid office know about the scholarships that we've received? And so, generally speaking, all you have to do is send us an email to financial_aid. Of course, we would like you to put your CWIT on that email so we could find you a little easier, but we do have a way to offset everything from 529 plans to your payment plan information, and then scholarships. A lot of times, they'll want the financial aid office to confirm that that you are enrolled for this term before they will send the funds, and they will be sending a confirmation email to us. And so as students go through the process, one of the questions is, how do I sign up for the ROTC scholarship? Those scholarships are going to be competitive as any others are. And so you compete with the other students in your class. And your first year here, basically the minimum is you have to make a 3.0 GPA. It's actually a 2.5, but to be competitive, you have to be above a B average. And you take a PT test, and then you have some other points that are related to what your field is and your specialty is. And so at the end of the fall semester, you basically will grade out, and out of 100 people, they'll award 10 scholarships. And so it will be a competitive process. And of course, engineers are probably more sought after than most majors. But as you go through this process, understand that everyone is interested in those scholarship programs. And so it is a competitive process, but those students who are at the top of their class are recognized. You can also compete for 3-year scholarships and 2-year scholarships. So that's 2 years worth of applications and tuition that they could cover, and certainly well worth competing for. I have another student who asked about the 2+2 program. I tried it, and are you eligible for scholarships? And there are more scholarships for the cadet programs, but yes, you are eligible for scholarships. Generally speaking, they're awarded through the department, but understand that you do have to be here and compete for those scholarships after that first year here. And as the 2+2 program, technically speaking, you're coming in as a junior, and so you're competing with all of those students in the 2+2. I already got, or how do I handle 529? Does the financial aid office take control, or does the student? And so 529 plans are basically savings plans that the treasurer's office, you'll send them the information with the plan numbers on it, how much of that 529 you have available and what you want to use. And our treasurer's office will actually bill the 529 plan. So after the semester starts, they will not do that ahead of time. And so you can still offset your bill, which is fine. You just give the treasurer's office, and the young lady's name is Debbie Barino, the information, and she'll log it into the system so it'll offset your tuition. I think I've got another question about a Navy Reserve. Do I automatically qualify for an ROTC? And so the Reserve program is different. The Navy scholarship would, again, be a different obligation. And so you could compete for both. You would do that with the Navy ROTC department once you're here, and still keep your reserve as you go through. And I think if you got the ROTC scholarship, it would override the reserve contract. So that's there's more contract things there that I probably don't know than what I do. So a little unusual. I don't know all the answers about the reserve. But ROTC programs are, they do generate a lot of interest from our students. Again, I think half of our students come in want to compete and maybe look for contracts and those things. that I believe those programs have been and maybe even will be available again. I think Derek, we might have something with the ROTC programs together for our freshmen that we could include some information on, because we'll do a couple of presentations from the ROTC groups. That might be about all the questions I've got now.
Can I see a show of hands of who's done their FAFSA already? Thumbs up. Who knows what a FAFSA is? Everybody? Okay, great.
You know, there was another question here about music scholarships, and of course I should be able to think more than just about the engineers. And the band programs do have scholarships. They have some other ways to audition for those, though. I think you would obviously you'd send a tape, something to the band director. Right now, I think his information is in the system, and of course his name escapes me because I don't have it right in front of me. But Tim Smith is the band director. If you'll look on the website, I'm sure he's got an email in there, and that's how you contact him. And the band has a large number of scholarships, and so that would be our music program here. There's Carillon, which is a little different. If you've ever played a church organ, it would be similar to that. So one other question is about how do we know what we owe and when all the scholarships have been awarded. And that's a good question because the process is ongoing. I wish it would have a deadline and say May 1st we had them all done. We do award scholarships throughout the process here of students who maybe will leave a scholarship out, and we'll notify all students. We think all the scholarship programs in general, the big scholarship programs that were listed as Citadel Scholars, were picked up from students that were had their admissions information in by January. Most of those things were put together with a matrix score, which is literally we go through and count the number of activities you've been in, the number of special honors you've received, the number of academic honors, as well as participation as captain or co-captain or chair or co-chair, your high school class rank and GPA. If you submitted board scores, those kind of SAT or ACT scores are included. AP classes, all of those generate a point. And so we take the students with the highest points that come in through the admissions process and invite them to interview. Some of you might have done the Citadel 1842 Scholars or the Citadel Scholar Program or the Honors Program interviews. All of those were directed through that process to award our large scholarship programs. As you look through the scholarship book, as it's online, you would see that there are scholarships from North Carolina or from the Northeast or more from South Carolina probably than any other state. But that process goes through, and as we find students that fit the criteria, we make those awards and send those to our students by direct mail. You know, you would get an email that says your financial aid has been updated, and it would be on that student portal that you would see it. So the second part of that question was how much do we owe and when will all the scholarships? That billing cycle is going to happen the first week of July. And so literally, we know that the cost is on that student aid portal as a cost of attendance, and that includes other things like transportation and personal expenses, things that you're not going to get a bill for, but it's included in your cost. And so literally the cost is $54,256 for an out-of-state student and $30,491 or something for in-state students. And you would get a bill for half of that each semester. And so you sort of are close with how much your bill is going to be now, but the literal bill will be on the gateway around the first week of July. I do have information from Derek, who said, where can people access the scholarship book? Citadel.edu, go to the financial aid page and go to cadets and then scholarships. There are links that are tabs to the left-hand side of that Citadel.edu website, and you'll see the scholarship book, the upper class scholarship book in there. I do have another question about in-state residency, and that's something that a lot of students will ask. Of course, it's important because you're paying so much more out of state, but generally speaking, students who move and graduate from out-of-state high schools and come to the Citadel are not able to gain in-state residency because they have come to South Carolina for education and they are required to live on our campus. And so it's state, according to those residency guidelines, you would have to live and establish a residency in some other than institutional housing. So our families can move in state and you gain residency. Generally speaking, 12 months residency is what they ask for. Families that work and full-time gain residency the next semester. So generally speaking, you can also just move. You can also just move to South Carolina, retire, and as you did, that would say 12 months. You'd have to register your car and do some other things that establish residency, pay taxes, and 12 months later you get in-state tuition. So hopefully people have been able to find the scholarship book. If you looked, I see Derek has also found it using the search function on the website. Just type in scholarship book. That makes sense too. It's not so hard to find. We try not to hide it. But I certainly enjoy answering your questions much better than fumbling through the process of talking about in general. So I welcome you to ask some other questions, and Derek, I'll wave the flag again to see if you can come in and help me.
We have a question that somebody is a guardsman, and I guess they're moving here from out of state. How does, I guess, their GI Bill or whatever pay they're getting through the Guard, how does that work with tuition? And I hope that answered your question out there, but if it did not, so the person that answered or asked that, if that was not your question, feel free to just shoot me an email. I've also sent you a direct message privately.
All right. Well, yeah, I did see part of that. The Guard, if there was an interstate transfer, I think you would still keep your Guard contract. You just transfer to our Sumter Guard here, our units that are close. But in general, you should be able to use the benefits of the Guard. I believe if you've gone to AIT, Advanced Camp, then you qualify for tuition assistance. And with that, I think, I don't know if it's Chapter 35 or I can't remember the name of that benefit, but you would work through Miss Sally Levitt. Generally speaking, you're going to get what's called a certificate of eligibility. Once you have that GI Bill, or if it's Chapter 1606 for the Guard, I think you get a stipend plus a kicker. Those, you're working through our VA office here, and then you're basically getting certified once tuition or once classes start, and they give you a monthly allowance. So, but there are people here. We have a Guard unit on campus, or Guard members stationed on campus, and they're over in our Veterans Servicing Center, and they would help you do the transfer if you needed to. And with that, we'd find out which has the most benefits. Again, being able to drill with our units, I think, is different than transferring your membership from one state to the other. I know the State Guard, I believe, is funding most of the programs that I know of, and one of those would be like a South Carolina CAP program, which is another $4,500. So there may be a real benefit for you to switch your guard units for a time being. I did see a question up there about the FAFSA form, and that is linked to the citadel.edu website. And that form is, technically speaking, the free application for federal student aid and allows you to qualify for the Pell Grant program. That is your application for the grant. And it also qualifies all students for federal benefits from work study or the student loan programs. If you complete the FAFSA form, which generally speaking asks for your parents' information from their last year's tax return, you would receive information back through them, and the school would also receive the information, as you indicated, the Citadel as a recipient of that, and we would then offer those dollars to you through that same gateway portal automatically, and that would be something that you could use or decide as an option to use. I think another question that came up was, can I apply for a scholarship in the sophomore year? And literally that is available to you as an upper class scholarship application in the spring semester. So your freshman year, you'll fill out one application called the Citadel Upper Class Scholarship Application, and you'll be considered for all of our institutional scholarships. And of course, I think the engineering departments themselves have a large number of scholarships that they're awarding to their students who excel in the classroom. I think another question was, do I have to fill out more than one FAFSA? No. The FAFSA is good for every school, and as long as you have indicated the Citadel, we will have that information. Another question that came up, it says, will cadets have time or ability to complete the work study with all of the workload and potential ROTC commitments? I am positive that you will. I think one of the things about the school, particularly the first year, is that, and some of you, I'm sure, have experienced this in high school, the busier you are, the more you get done. And you just don't have time that first year to worry about what I'm going to be doing next, because it's already set up. You're scheduled. You're going to have so much to do that you're just going to be going all the time. And of course, a lot of times people will excel with that because they'll focus on what they want. And so yes, you'll have time to do all of the work. Now, the work study is literally a job on campus. And the work study job would basically pay you every 2 weeks. You're just earning $8 to $10 an hour, depending on how long you're in the program. We do not allow freshmen to do work study. Again, as we talked about it, and as I think you might have a feel for, freshmen do not have time to work on campus. And so you're going to be hustling that first year. But I think it's all, there's so many people that have come before you. I know you're going to be able to do it. And you won't worry about work though. All right, so I think I had a yellow ribbon question, which, the yellow ribbon program is a program for students that are using their families' post 9/11 GI Bill, and the out-of-state students were allowed to get an additional scholarship. Now, what we believe coming up is, and we have participated in the yellow ribbon program, but what we believe is that the federal law has changed with some of that programming, and all students who qualify for the post 9/11, the GI Bill, will be given in-state tuition. So the yellow ribbon won't be a program for next year.
We had a question that came in from Miss Cynthia Johnson. Are there scholarships available for a cadet that is a child of a veteran?
Not from the Citadel. In other words, we would have picked up on some of that information, and I hope everyone got that question. But, you know, veterans and their students qualify for benefits through some of those units or from a federal GI Bill from a program. And so the Citadel itself is not, it does have scholarships that are there for students who have a family member who's in the Army or something like that. But those are small individual scholarships, and there's just not very many of those. So not something that's there for every student who has someone in the service. Is there time for sports? I think so. I think you've got some engineers, Derek, that are on sports teams.
We actually have quite a few. I do want to just point out, it's one of the things I forgot in my intro. We do have our department heads as well as the Dean of Engineering who's going to stay on after this. So if you have questions that are better addressed for our department heads and our Dean, we are happy to stay on after Mr. Fuller's presentation, and we can get some of your questions answered that might fall outside of the financial aid sphere. So if you have additional questions outside of financial aid, again, we're going to be staying on after Mr. Fuller's presentation, and we'll get to some of those other questions right after.
Excellent. But we do have a lot of sports members that are engineering majors. One other good question that came up here was, how's the cost of the Citadel determined? And it is based on your class. And so you're either a freshman in or out of state, and that's two different prices. And so it doesn't matter how many hours you take, there is a additional cost for lab fees. So individual classes may have additional cost of $100 for a lab fee. But in general, you're paying the same cost every student, no matter how many hours they're taking, whether they're in state or out of state, and a freshman. Now, the freshman cost is more expensive because you're purchasing your uniforms the first year. And so it's about $5,000 throughout the year, $2,500 each semester. That's additional cost in your first year. After that, the cost is still in state or out of state. And in your junior and senior year, there is an additional excellence fee that's added when you get a little further into the program. That's basically $2,000 for the year. So at this point, it's determined by what year in school you are and whether you're in state or out of state. But all of those costs will come out. They're on our website. They're on the, look on the tuition under, you know, as you look up under that citadel.edu and do the search. Just do the tuition cost for this year. We don't expect tuition to go up at this point, so I don't want to announce what the costs are because they haven't authorized that yet, but it'll go to our state agencies and they'll come back and confirm it in the month of May. And so we'll have that published on the website, and then the billing cycle will actually run off the first week of July. I think that's all the questions for now. I sure would like to answer some more, though.
Looks like we got
an ROTC. Yep. Yeah, it says if you got an ROTC scholarship, will that cover your uniforms? It does cover your lab fees. It does not cover your uniforms. You know, the ROTC scholarship has a uniform allowance that is your ROTC uniforms. What we're talking about a cost for each semester is your cadet uniforms, which will be tailored for you, and you'll have, but the ROTC allowance comes after the semester starts. Generally speaking, you're going to use that to buy some other Army or Navy, Marine related outfits as opposed to cadet related uniforms. Good question. If we'd like to get in touch with us, we have the website, I think, financial_aid, and we are able to respond. And of course, our contact information and our telephone, if you'd like to call us, is on the website too. But it's if you have a question directly from me. That you'll get my number. So I had one more question about the yellow ribbon. May not be necessary because post 9/11 GI Bill students using their parents' bill will be charged in state. That is correct. As long as you're using your GI Bill, you're going to have your tuition covered. All right, and see, I got 10 scholarships are awarded for the ROTC program. I should not have, if I mentioned a word that said literally there are 10, I should not have. The example was there are a lot of people looking for scholarships, and all of the branches, the Navy, Air Force, and the Army. Army's been the largest, but I get information that the Navy, Marine, and the Air Force are going to be offering more scholarships in the next year. So all of the programs have scholarships they offer. It's not limited to 10. It changes each year, and so it depends on how many qualified students they have, I would guess. So the rest of that question was, are they picked at random? And no, it's a competitive process where you're running, getting a PT score. You're actually getting a score for your major and what field you want to go into, and you're also getting a score for your GPA. And so you are competing not only with the grades and how well you run, but you're also competing with the officers that are there. So you have a personal investment in that ROTC, or they have a personal investment with you, and they'll mentor you, and they'll find their top students, and those are the ones that are going to get the scholarship. So just all of you planning on coming in and performing at the highest level you can achieve, and I'm sure with you will have an opportunity to get those scholarships. The next question was along the lines of where were applications automatically sent in for scholarships? Yes. All of you we have a matrix, all of you were reviewed in the admissions process. And so we picked up all of our students and ran them through that cycle. I can't, one cycle ran up in December and another one in March. I think they're still doing a few of the 1842 scholars, but individuals are being contacted from the scholarship committee. That's a faculty committee along with the honors program that they're selecting their students from. So you were automatically considered this year. Next year, I'll ask you to do the scholarship application. Does my need-based aid go down if I get more scholarships? Well, that's a possibility, but again, depending on how much other aid you were able to get, hopefully none of your need-based aid would be reduced by your scholarships. Scholarship as large as an ROTC might affect some aid, but generally speaking, the Pell Grant, that is a need-based program that is never reduced. Those kinds of things are for students who have the most need. Derek, I saw you pop up there.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest takeaways here, though, are, guys, you don't have to do this in silo. We have an amazing financial aid team. And so as you're moving through the process of gearing up to come to the Citadel, please reach out. Don't do anything, on your own if you're uncomfortable. Please reach out to either myself, our financial aid team, and between myself and Mr. Fuller's office, we're going to make sure that you guys get the latest and greatest information to make the right choices in terms of funding your college education. So, we might not get to everything this evening, or there might be some, longer questions, but again, if there's anything that's on your mind, please reach out. And again, we're going to make sure that you've got the best information to make the decisions that are right for you.
Good deal. There was another question about if you received a small scholarship and then received the ROTC, will you still get the initial one? Let's just say you'll get all of your scholarships until you run over your cost of attendance. which if you've got more than enough money to pay for all of your costs, then maybe somebody else could need that doesn't have that much. But don't worry about losing any scholarships. And there was a question, is there anything specific we need to add to the FAFSA? So the FAFSA form itself is going to ask you what schools do you want to send the form to, and the Citadel is the school you would list. So any others that you were interested in, but we would get that. So I think you've got some other questions that you've answered.
All right. Again, this is not the end of the conversation with you guys. Again, we can be in touch via phone, email. If you guys are also at the campus, feel free to come say hi. My office is Grimsley 128. So if you happen to be touring campus and just want to stop by and say hi, we're happy to chit chat. Looks like we've got a question about interest rates, about new loans for Parent Plus private loans.
Yeah, these guys are pretty astute. They're keeping up with interest rates and that thing. Interest rates on the loans are set each year, so they're fixed from the federal process for 1 year. And they're done by the last 3 months. They're done in May. And so by around June the 1st, they will set up our interest rates, and it'll be fixed for the next 12 months, and it will be effective July 1. And so I think they take the 30-day average of the bank rates and come up with a number, but it was 5.9% last year for the Parent Plus loan, and student loans were at 2.9%. So with the way interest rates have been, I don't expect a lot of movement there. That will come out here towards the end of May and be published nationally around the middle of June. Is it extra to do the summer program? Yes, it is extra. CSI is fee, I think it's $3,900 or $3,600. But scholarships for the CSI program is not really available, as students technically are not admitted into the summer program. You're admitted for the fall, and your federal aid and student loans are going to kick in for the fall semester. But the summer program, if you qualify for the Pell Grant, you're automatically entered into they're looking for students to find some scholarships. They have a limited number of scholarships that they offer for that CSI program, but it's not awarded up front. You basically start the program, and as you about 2 weeks in, they announce those scholarships to students who have found a way to get there and have covered for the summer. So there's no enticement, or they don't pay for the summer program. You have to do that yourself. All right, so can we use scholarships we get from the Citadel for room and board or textbooks? The Citadel costs are included, room and board and textbooks, in your fee that you are billed in July. And so we have an all-inclusive cost that is going to use your scholarships not only to pay your tuition, but those other costs here. So the cost of attendance is what you're going to see on the Lassane Gateway portal. And that will, like I said, include a couple of additional things that are not charged by the Citadel, but you could still use some of your scholarships that you got from outside or from our school to help cover those other costs. So yes, you can use those. Thank you. As we go through, I can't thank y'all enough for letting me spend some time with you and enduring the technical side of this thing. I wish I didn't have such things happen, but you can all help me on this, because I'm sure I don't know. As soon as I opened the laptop up, Windows was installing a new update. And so I'm waiting 15 minutes for the update to install, and then nothing on the computer works. So how does that work? Thank you a lot for the update, Microsoft.
Well, we're just appreciative we didn't catch you in the bathroom or anything crazy like that.
Well, and the dog usually is much more vocal. So we've had a good run here. I certainly appreciate the opportunity to talk with you. I can tell all of you are on top of it and on the ball by so many questions that I've gotten, and so thank you for making it entertaining for me too. And certainly I wish you all the best of luck. And as Derek has offered an invitation, our office is certainly available and fully staffed to help you and your family determine different ways to help get you covered, get you here, and make sure that we can keep you here and graduate you.
Just to recap, what were the email and the phone number that you gave earlier?
The email is financial_aid. So I think you typed that in up there earlier, financial_aid@citadel.edu. I gave you my office phone number. I won't do that for the second time. I'll give you the financial aid main office, which is 843-953-5187. My number on my desk is 5185. You're welcome to call me too, but again, you're trying to get help, and a lot of times I'm not the only one that can help. So take advantage of that office number too. Thank you for posting.
You're helping square away about 2,500 other cadets and their families too. So we look forward to helping everyone. Yes. So, all right, Mr. Fuller, thank you so much for joining us this evening. Again, to everybody that's out there, this is just the start of the conversation. Again, if you have any questions, you are welcome to get in touch with us. Like I said, as promised, we have a couple of department heads as well as our Dean of Engineering that's joining us. And we'd love to answer any questions that you guys might have in terms of the fall start. I know that there are some questions out there about what COVID was going to look like, vaccination, fall start. And so again, we look forward to answering those questions now. So Dean, if you want to introduce yourself, I see that you're live.
Everyone, glad you're joining us, and thank you for taking the time to be with us. It was a great conversation to have on financial aid. Of course, one of the things I'd like to add for a couple of comments on there about the ROTC scholarships, the full 4-year ones have already been issued. Some of those are actually 3.5 years. They don't start until the freshmen show their performance in the first semester. Mine's loud. Is that what you're saying, Derek? How's that? Is that better?
Maybe scoot back from.
Bottom line is that what we have is most of them are 3.5 years. You'll have to perform your first semester, and that's the military protecting themselves from someone paying for someone who is not going to be able to perform. Of course, all of the services have additional scholarships you can apply for. They're a 3-year and they're a 2-year. The Army also will give out some 1-year ROTC scholarships based upon being able to collect those up from other schools who have not been able to keep them full. And so that's just to kind of get the conversation started. I saw some information on that about the ROTC scholarships. So what other questions are out there?
We had somebody ask about vaccination and it being mandatory.
The answer to that is that right now it's not mandatory. It would require either the federal government or the state is where we're standing right now. However, let me say this, we would highly encourage you to get the vaccination. If every single person who gets the vaccination moves us one step closer to having that herd immunity that they talk about. Right now we're approaching about 800 of the current Corps has had the shot. And we are trying to continue moving in the right direction that everyone gets the shot. We believe that's the only way that we can ensure that we protect faculty, staff, and students. Let's just keep in mind, a lot of students are asymptomatic, but we have faculty and staff, as like me with all the gray hair, that may not be asymptomatic and may have a very severe case with COVID. So we're just trying to make sure we protect everybody. So we ask you to make sure that you are vaccinated. But one of the things that we will be doing is making sure that you've been tested before you come. And we would most likely test you on the day you arrive. And if you are positive, you will go into quarantine. We did that last fall. We tested every week a portion of the Corps. This spring, as we moved into having rapid testing, we tested one battalion every week, so that every 5 weeks we had tested everybody. We also had it available each week that each staff or faculty could get tested in case they felt they were in close contact. And we will continue doing that. We're doing it right now. There's testing this week again. And we're 2 weeks away from 2 weeks to graduation. We're still testing because we must do that. Let's see.
We've got a good question out there for Dr. Rabb. So let me introduce our other two department heads that are joining. So we've got Dr. Robert Rabb, who's our department head of mechanical engineering, who's joining us, as well as Dr. Jeff Davis, who is the department head of our civil and environmental engineering programs. Also inclusive of that is construction engineering. We've got a great question out there coming from a mech major's parent. What classes over the summer would be beneficial to take, if any, coming into the Citadel for freshman year?
Yeah, you'll never go wrong with taking a lot of math. So math's a perishable subject, and it's one of those courses there that we take it, but we tend to forget a lot of what's going on. So a lot of what we do in engineering relies on that math. So any refresher that you can do, even if you have Calculus 1 credit, I would still say go and review that material. If you are coming in here a little late and you can knock out some more math, that would be great. But as a minimum, make sure you're refreshed up on that math. Science, we start off with some chemistry. You'll move into physics later on, but physics usually requires calculus. But the building block for all of that is your math.
Eric, I want to pick up on the one about picking a major. Yes, we do require you to select a major to start with us. Part of that is to get you in the right track, get you the right advising, because we assign you a faculty member to advise you. But it is very easy in the first semester to switch to a different engineering major. Matter of fact, it's easy to do it the second semester. Once we start your sophomore year, we start to have a lot more specialty. That is circuits for mechanical and electrical, statics for mechanical and civils. And so there's a little bit more specificity by that time. But generally, pick what you think you're most interested in, and then have a lot of conversations once you arrive, especially with the faculty, especially with other faculty in other departments and other programs, and that'll be able to allow you to make a choice that would be best for you. There's one about minors. The answer is yes. You want to ask about a minor early, especially if you come in with a number of courses that are accepted by the Citadel and used towards your major. Let me clarify that. Any course you take at a community college will be accepted as long as it was C or better. But whether it actually fulfills a major requirement, a requirement for the major, is subject to what we require in the catalog. But if you have a number of those courses that do accepted and do decrease your work, a number of courses you have to take, we will talk to you about a minor. And of course, if you are a computer engineer or an electrical engineer, many of the students, there's 6 electives, and most of them are taking those electives. I'm sorry, there are 4 electives. Most of them are taking those electives in cybersecurity because it allows them bridge into many different areas, from software to hardware to protecting the systems to attacking the systems. So yes, we'll easily be able to do that. And in fact, our computer science program here has the cybersecurity is NSA level 1 certified, which there's not a lot of schools. We're only 2 in the state of South Carolina, and we're one of those 2. So great question. When you asked about the question about branch ROTC scholarships, you will have to apply for each of those ROTC scholarships separately. Each branch is different: Army, Air Force, Navy, and Marines. They don't do it as one big application. The reason for that is because otherwise they'd be looking at it, 700 kids, all of them. And what you need to do is pick the one you want most, apply for that, and then move on to the second one that you might be interested in. Dr. Rad, anything else to add on that one?
No, I think you hit it all on the head there. So that was good coverage.
The question down there is, when can you pick your courses? As it turns out, what we will be doing with you is helping you enroll in your classes during the challenge week. We will actually, they'll go ahead and assign you courses based upon what you already have and what you need to take in that first semester. And then we will work through that with you during challenge week with advising, and we'll do 2 advisings with you to make sure that we've got you in the right course, the course that pushes you as far down the pike as we can. But that will be taken care of for you because it's pretty standard. As Dr. Rad had said before, there's usually a math, there's usually a science, there will be an English, there'll be a freshman seminar, and then there'll be some other humanities course in that mix, and then a freshman engineering course.
Let me jump in on that, Dean Welch. So may I share my screen?
Yeah, let me stand by. I'll make you co-host.
Okay. So just while he's queuing that up there, so we just got notice today from the registrar that they will be forwarding forms to all of you here when you arrive. So you can register yourself for your courses. I'll just show you an example of what one looks like. Every program will have something different, but I received mine today. So if I take a look at this, you'll see this form. They sent it out to us just for verification that all the courses are right on here, but you'll see which courses that you should be taking. Different types of math on here, the intro to mechanical engineering, different chemistries, freshman seminar writing course, your leaders course, ROTC, and then of course you have to schedule some lunch periods in here. So this is all kind of templated for you, but you can put in what we call a course registration number for all of that. And you'll be getting that, if you're here for CSI, you'll be getting that and you'll register for classes then. If not, you'll be doing that. They will start templating that for you. But you kind of have a set schedule on the courses you should take. But just like you saw in there, there's different flavors of the math. So the further you start ahead in the program, the better off you're going to be.
Go ahead and answer the question on the math placement. I think they start next month.
Yeah.
I see that you're out there. Do you want to say hi to the people in Zoom land?
Are you throwing the ball to me? I couldn't hear. I heard Dean Welch's field radio. Sounds like you're out in the field somewhere. So I'm Dr. Davis, and I'm head of the civil engineering and construction engineering programs. It's just hopefully the impression you're getting from our program tonight is just Citadel's a family. I know Colonel Fuller very well. I talk to him all the time on the phone. We're always collaborating, trying to help students and figure out how to support students, and we'll be supporting you when you come here. And our department in particular has a lot of departmental scholarships that you can, very few are available to freshmen, but once you get into the program, then you can apply each year and be considered for whichever ones you're qualified for. So if you have any questions, the other thing I would say is about the first year, like if whatever major you choose, you can, stick with that major, then you're in the flow to get through the program efficiently. But you do have the ability to change, and the freshman engineering courses are transferable between the 4 different programs that we have: mechanical, electrical, civil, and construction. So if you have any questions about anything that is in civil or construction engineering, I'm happy to answer those.
Does this sound better? Okay.
Amazing.
Okay, great. Hey, there's a question on there about son is in basic and then AIT. How can he take his placement test? It's an online exam. So you just work with your son to find a time that he can either go to the education center on the base that he's doing the AIT at, and he can log in and take the test there. But that is able to be done. Just work with them to get it done early as you possibly can. And you can take it as many up to 5 times. So once you get the results of the test, if it's not what you think, hopefully he or she can do a little bit of studying and then jump back on top of it again and take the test again. What classes will transfer? Basically anything you've taken, it's you got a score of 4 or 5. Sometimes it's a 3 if it's an AP course, or you've taken it at a community college. Jeff or Rob, any input on that about transfer? What courses transfer?
Calculus-based physics, chemistry, if it's college, not general chemistry. What is it? Math. What you saw on there, math is pretty universal. So you keep hearing us talk about that, but I would sure you do that. Last year, if you had English 102 credit, they gave you credit for the freshman writing. It just kind of depends on the demand that's out there. I don't know if they're going to make that decision or not. And let me see what else transfers over.
Biology would be another one.
Yeah.
And then there's a question about environmental engineering. So our department is civil and environmental engineering, and we have 4 tracks of academic study, and one of them is environmental engineering. Students also get a track in structural engineering, geotechnical engineering, which are foundations, and transportation engineering. And then we have some fantastic faculty in environmental engineering. You can also do undergraduate research. We have students that are doing work in green infrastructure and flooding and all kind of other areas as well that would complement your what you learn in the classroom even further.
Hey, Rob, you've dealt with a lot of the English 101, 102 with the freshman seminar.
Right.
Can you answer that question, please?
Yeah. So English 101 and 102 from Midlands will transfer in as those courses, except those are going away here for the cadet program, for the day program. So instead you take this freshman seminar and freshman writing intensive course. So last year, they made a decision that they would, if you had 102 credit, that would count for the freshman writing intensive course. I have not heard anything differently this year if they're going to make that decision. But if you're taking 101 and 102, I say do it. Anything you can do to make yourself a better writer, a better communicator, then do it. But it may or may not count.
Yeah, anything that you can be better prepared freshman year when you're coming to the Citadel, when there's a lot of other things going on, as Mr. Fuller talked about with the PT, the military, athletics, drill and ceremony, being a 4th classman, a freshman, anytime that you can be stronger in your classes. We get the question all the time, hey, I took a AP Calculus 1, but I scored a 2 on it. Did I waste my time? And the answer is never. Did you waste your time? Because now you'll be able to see the content a second time and probably perform much, much, much better. So again, all of these courses transfer. And as Dr. Rabb said, there's still discussions. I was just in a meeting today that had a discussion about it, whether if someone brings in English 101 and 102, will that take care of the freshman English course? It may not take care of the freshman seminar course because there's other things that are being covered in those, because we are required by our accrediting agency to make sure that we have every student participate in courses that cover 6 general education outcomes. And so there's a little bit of that that's running the train, but transfer in everything you've taken from a community college or AP and let the chips fall where they may as we go through the process.
One more thing I want to emphasize on that math placement exam. Just like Dean Welch said, in about a month here, you'll be getting some directions on it, maybe even sooner. So they're putting all of the students that are accepted pay their deposits into the system, now creating the access to the math placement exam. I'm looking over here on the side screen just because she sent this out to some of the active duty Navy folks that are trying to find out how to do the same thing. But it's a 90-minute exam with 33 multiple choice questions on it. There's also links in her message here for review materials, practice problems, and a sample test from years ago. Take this very, very seriously. You have to schedule a time. So I told her, try to make it various times of the day, because I know some of you may be working over the summer. So she'll have some evening sessions, some day sessions. But when you dedicate that time to this, it's going to be proctored. So she may allow 15 or 20 students at a time where they can proctor this. And if you miss one, great, go sign up for another one there. If you don't like your score and you think you should have done better on it, then please go take it again. So you can do it many times. I think she has a limit of like 4 times on here. But, that's, you're an engineer, so you're used to, discovering some things that aren't necessarily right, but that's our job as an engineer, to make things better. So I would tell you to don't be satisfied with that score. If you think that you ought to be in calculus 1 and you can do better, just like the dean was talking about, if you got a 2 on a AP exam, you've seen the content, so go back and prep a little bit with a review material and hammer away. But getting in the right math class is going to help you out in the long run. Don't think that going into a lesser math class will be easier for you, because you're going to have to make that up sometime.
The question is, does everybody have to take the math placement exam? And the answer is yes. And what we suggest you do is take it as early as possible. Dr. Reb, send that email to Derek. And if you guys will send Derek, he's put his email address in the chat, send him an email and he will send this out to you, this information, so you can get a head start on this. The question is, can it take math placement exam in CSI? The answer is you can, but really what happens is if you're coming to CSI, what we're going to want you to do is take a math course for CSI. And so you're going to need to take that math placement exam before you get here for CSI. So we put you in the right math class for CSI. Those of you out there that are not coming for the Citadel Success Institute, please give it a consideration. I think there's still some room to get involved and join us. It's a chance for you to experience the Citadel life without being a freshman yet, or a fourth classman, I should say, or a knob, as they call them. Instead, you're going to class. You will have a upper class mentor, somebody that will make sure you're going to all the right places. You will go through physical fitness every day. And so you'll live in the barracks. And so you'll get a feel for what it is to be a freshman here without all of the stress of being that freshman. But you will also be taking a college level course here at the Citadel, which will also give you a leg up. So yes, you will have to take it. What does CSI cost? I think Mr. Fuller pointed it out. It's about $3,600, but that's room and board and everything, and the cost of the course. There are some scholarships out there. So if 3,600 is something that is outside your range, do not hesitate to ask into financial aid, because I do know there is some funds that have been set aside. I don't know if all those have been given out yet already to assist those who are coming to CSI. Rob, can you look those up right quick? CSI, I believe it starts the 7th of July, but we'll make sure that it's on there. And there you go, $3,500. And what's the dates for CSI? Do you see those, Rob?
Yes. Session dates are July 12th through August 3rd.
Okay. And the first day of classes are August. Jeff, do you have that?
No.
I'm looking at my calendar right now.
I think they report in on the 14th. So the first day is the 25th.
Yes, the first day of class should be the 25th on a Wednesday. Generally, you come in on the 14th, and then what happens is that you have 10 days, and then you've got a couple of days where you're picking up your books and everything else and getting all the last little minute counseling going. And usually we start on a Wednesday, the 25th.
All right, real quick, while I have some students here, when you get here, please feel free to call me Derek. I cannot get cadets to stop calling me sir or Mr. Harris. I'm not on the commandant or the cadet side. I'm on your academic side. So please, if you see me on campus, say hi, Derek. I saw you on Zoom. So I'm just going to take an opportunity to start off with some of you guys here online now.
Jeff, would you pick up the question on the Excel program about going through CSI and what they do in the summer, those that have been selected for this year's fall group for Excel?
Yeah, you'll be hearing from Dr. Watson, who is the main faculty coordinator for that program. And you would be taking some math classes and have some other supportive programs that would be going on during that time. So you should plan on coming, and that's part of the Excel program. The tuition for that is paid through the Excel program.
And that is in the summer, and that is for civil engineering cadets, those who are taking civil engineering. Someone before had a question about tutors. There is parents, I think that was a parent that asked the question, so that's a great question for everyone here. But every parent should be asking your student, who is your tutor for every class? We have a student success center that has tutors for almost all the freshmen and most of the sophomore classes. We in engineering work with the Student Success Center to create supplemental instruction sections where we have an upper class cadet who has done extremely well in the class, who sometimes sits in the class that semester, so they're very familiar with the content at that time and how the students may be struggling, and then has 2 to 3 hours of tutoring that they set up in the evenings in one of the classrooms. So students pop in, and that's a great time to be doing your homework at the same time so you can get that just-in-time question answered. We also have in each of the 5 battalions, there is a battalion academic officer who works with the company academic officers to develop what they call battalion and company tutors, individuals that will provide support for freshmen and sophomores and generally anybody, but they generally focus on the freshman courses and try to make sure they have somebody in every battalion that in the evening when the faculty are not around. The other resource is a student that is struggling in any course. If they're not visiting their professor every week, if not twice a week, with their work partially done, with questions they have to be able to finish it and finish strong, they're making a huge mistake. Our job here is to help each student be successful.
Uh-oh, looks like Windows Update got another victim this evening.
Hey, I want to emphasize a couple of things there until he comes back on, but students, parents, a lot of that tutoring that he's talking about with fellow students occurs in the evening because those students have classes during the daytime, just like you. So the faculty are here quite a bit. We have open office hours. We also have our doors open. So please see us. All right. So we're all, on the same team here. There's questions that I can answer that particularly for a class that I don't teach, but I think I can answer some of those. But it's not uncommon if a student needs some professional help like that, just, seeking a job or even with academics, but we're all here trying to make them successful. So just like the dean was talking about, seeing that if you're struggling in class, see your professor once, twice a week. Same thing goes if you're not struggling, but I'm the one that's around and everybody else is in class. Feel free to stop by and ask that question. So we're available during the day, sometimes in the evenings. The other students that are tutors, they're more available in the evenings. But if they see an upperclassman that's in the same major over here in the academic spaces, their job is to make sure that those underclassmen are successful in their courses as well. All right. So please take advantage of all those resources.
I would be remiss if I didn't brag on the 2 ladies that are embedded within each of your departments. So We also have two student success advisors, program coordinators that are embedded within each of the different areas. And we are constantly looking at grades. We're talking to instructors. So if somebody's not doing well, we have a bunch of surveillance mechanisms in place where somebody's falling behind, we're going to be talking to you. We're going to figure out what's wrong. We're going to help put a plan in place. We're going to help surround you with the resources that you need to be successful. So again, when you come here, yes, the Citadel has a reputation for being formidable, but you do have a lot of people, especially your academic team, that's on your side to push you through and to make sure that you're successful as a cadet. I would say, in the interest of time, do we have any pressing questions out there for us before we wrap up? Oh, the weekends. That's interesting. So it's going to fluctuate based on the Corps' performance during the week. If everybody has been good, there are weekends where you're allowed off. I know the opportunities for freshmen are a little bit limited, more so than the upperclassmen. But yes, you will have time out on the weekends. There will be time to relax and enjoy yourself and enjoy the Charleston area. Dr. Rav, how can students get a hold of you if they have questions after today for mechanical?
I'm going to put my email here in the chat. All right, so they can do it that way. And let me see, I'll also put in the phone number.
Same question for you, Dr. Davis. After today, of students who are majoring in civil and construction engineering, how can they get in touch with you?
I'm putting my info in the chat.
Awesome. And the dean is was joining us on behalf of our electrical and computer engineering program. They had a major competition that their department head needs to be a part of this evening to support our seniors as a part of their competition. But if you have any questions, if you're out there majoring, Dr. Davis, I think you just sent that only to me if you want to retype that out to the broader group. But Dr. Mark McKinney is the department head for electrical and computer engineering. If you have any questions, if you're majoring in electrical and computer engineering and you have any questions, feel free to shoot those over to me and I will make sure that we get you in touch with Dr. Mark McKinney. Again, he sends his regards. Like I said, they've got their hallmark cadet competition for seniors this evening. And so again, he sends his best that he could not be here. With that, let me just recap. So May 26th. So again, the fourth Wednesday of May and the fourth Wednesday of June, we'll be hosting another one of these. So our next one, you'll actually hear directly from cadets. So if you want to know, again, everything that admissions brochure or an admissions rep is not going to tell you, we will have our best cadets here to engage. And then June, the fourth Wednesday in June, I believe that's the 23rd, but don't hold me on that. I don't have my calendar in front of me, but again, it's the fourth Wednesday of June, 7 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, Charleston time. You guys are going to hear from civilian engineers. We're going to get graduates who just recently graduated, as well as people that have been out in the field. So you're going to hear from both our civilian folks as well as those that chose the military side. And so you will have a lot of options open to you with an engineering degree. Again, most of our students are graduating with a job offer in hand, a lot of them with several job offers in hand. So you could not have picked a better degree to go into a better field, whether it's civil, construction, computer, electrical, mechanical, any of our majors. Again, our degrees are going to lead to careers. And so we look forward to helping you get to where you want. Again, thank you everyone for joining us. I will let the dean, I'll follow up with the dean wherever he's at, let him know that we've concluded. But again, if you have any questions, feel free to get in touch with us. We've listed all of our phone numbers, emails there. Again, if you've missed anything, I've sent my email, I don't even know how many times, so you guys should have that. So again, if you have any questions and don't know where to route that to, just route it back to me. Again, thank you everyone for joining us. Again, stop by and say hi to us if you're on campus. Oh, somebody's asking what my title is. So My title is Director of Student Services and Special Projects for the School of Engineering. Again, I go by Derek, not Sir, Mr. Harris. Please feel free to just, if you see me on campus, stop me and say hi. Again, thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you May 26th for our next online webinar. Take care.